Today, we're going to learn how Ancient Apparition's ultimate Ice Blast actually works. I'm not going to go over every aspect of the spell, just the bits that I think are the most interesting and misunderstood. This way, you'll know how to better use it or play against it. Ice Blast is a fairly low cooldown ultimate, 40 seconds at level 3, that has a global cast range, meaning you can throw it anywhere on the map just like Clockwork's Rocket Flare or Zeus's Nimbus. Ice Blast has a projectile tracer which shows where it's going to land. Use the sub-ability Release during this time to send the actual Ice Blast out. The tracer projectile has a speed of 1500 and grants 500 radius non-lingering vision around it as it flies through the air. After the Ice Blast is sent, it leaves lingering vision in the path it took for 3 seconds. This can be useful for scouting a large area like Roche's Pit or other common paths. The explosion size at the end increases the longer it flies through the air, like a snowball growing as it rolls through more snow. So if you use Ice Blast, then immediately use the Release sub-ability, the explosion will be small. If you wait for it to fly across the map before releasing it, the explosion will be big. It has a minimum explosion radius of 275 and a max radius of 1000. If you die while the tracer is flying, it'll release the Ice Blast as if you press the Release sub-ability yourself. And something interesting about this Release sub-ability, you can use it while silenced. This is a pretty new change and helps ensure you can get your Ice Blast out if you're targeted by someone with a silence or maybe against a silencer who ults during a teamfight. The explosion radius increases by 50 every second the tracer is flying, meaning to reach that 1000 max explosion radius, you need to wait 15 seconds before releasing the Ice Blast. That's not very easy since throwing it from one fountain to the other currently takes about 14 seconds. So most Ice Blast usages won't reach the max explosion radius, but you can still get it to be pretty big if using it from across the map. If you happen to let the Ice Blast travel out of the map into the Great Unknown, it'll eventually set it on cooldown as if it was launched even though it never was. The tracer will disappear, the blast will never come out, and you won't get any vision that you normally get when releasing it. This could be useful to do if you used Ice Blast, but it was very clearly going to miss your target and you didn't want your enemies to know that you wasted it and now it's on cooldown. They might use that opportunity to take a fight against your team. Now let's talk about what the Ice Blast actually does. Units caught in the explosion or that come in contact with the tracer projectile as it travels get the Frostbitten debuff. This does magic damage over time and prevents the unit from healing. If the unit falls below a certain threshold, depending on Ice Blast level, they shatter and die. This threshold is based on their max HP. There's a visual indicator on their health bar that shows this, and is visible to both teams. The duration of the Frostbitten debuff is 12 seconds at level 3, but can be increased to 17 seconds with the level 20 talent. So obviously, Ice Blast is amazing against heroes who manipulate their HP, like Morphling or a Huskar using Armlet. And a quick side note on Armlet. When you toggle Armlet on, it gives you bonus strength, which increases both your max HP and your current HP. But under Ice Blast, the current HP part gets blocked. So what happens? Your max HP still goes up, which also raises your Shatter threshold, but your current HP stays the same. That puts you in a really bad spot. You're now closer to shattering and you're also taking damage from Armlet's health drain while it's active. And if you toggle Armlet off after that, your max HP drops back down and you might suddenly fall under the Shatter threshold and instantly die. This makes Ice Blast great against natural Armlet builders. It's also fantastic against high healing heroes like Io, Oracle, and Necrophos. It completely shuts down their ability to keep themselves or their teammates alive. The Shatter threshold at max level is 14%, but can be increased to 18% with the level 25 talent. This aspect of Ice Blast makes it great against tanky heroes, as it'll take out a large amount of HP you'd have to get through to kill them, and they usually end up having a lot of regen in their item builds. So against this tanky centaur with 4000 HP, you'd only need to do 3280 damage before he hits his Shatter threshold and dies. That's 720 HP you'd otherwise have to get through. He's still tanky, yeah, but it's pretty helpful when considering he's not going to be regenerating any health during this time as well. The magic damage it does when it explodes is pretty good too. It goes all the way up to 400 damage at level 3. In desperate times, this can even be used to farm or push a creep wave out that's across the map. It's also a great tool for scouting or starting a good teamfight at one of Roche's pits. But like before, remember to be careful using it in these types of ways. If the enemy sees you use it and waste it, it can be a clear opening for them to take a good fight against you. Ice Blast is a really strong tool throughout all stages of the game and can often determine how a fight ends up. This is especially true because the Frostbitten debuff goes through BKB and cannot be dispelled. So although it'll be doing a lot less damage against a BKB unit, it can still be used on them to prevent their HP regen. It'll also still apply the kill threshold on them, so don't be scared to use it on a BKB unit. And even if you don't hit the enemies with the actual blast, getting the frostbitten debuff on multiple enemies can be enough to ensure a one team fight. Ice Blast will not do its damage over time to invulnerable units. You can also dodge the frostbitten debuff by gaining invulnerability, like with Puck's Phase Shift, Shadow Demon's Disruption, and Tusk's Snowball. Although Eul Scepter technically puts a unit in an invulnerable state, you can still apply the frostbitten debuff to them while they're in the air, although they won't take damage during this time. If you hit an enemy with Ice Blast and your teammate comes by to secure your kill by dropping them to their Shatter threshold, your teammate will get the kill instead of you. This is because the kill is always awarded to whoever brought the affected unit's current health to that threshold. If they slowly ticked away from the damage over time, it would instead be you getting the kill. The last thing I'll go over is the Aghanim shard. This applies your current level of Cold Feet to enemy units hit by the Ice Blast explosion. This stun duration is not as long as Cold Feet though, but you can use it to stun enemies for even longer when comboing it with your normal Cold Feet ability. If you think I missed anything significant with Ice Blast, let all of us know in the comments. If you like this video, you'll probably like this other one where I go over how Lich's ultimate Chain Frost actually works, or this whole playlist of videos where I go over interesting and widely misunderstood mechanics in Dota 2. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you learned something new with me.